Hello everyone, my name is Koyeri Joshua. I'm a blockchain developer intern in Web3 Bridge, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the basics of the blockchain. The first thing that I'm going to be telling you about is the peer-to-peer network. So the peer-to-peer network is like a group of computers that are talking to each other, but they are not linked physically and there's no central body within them that's controlling them. So they all work together, share information together without any form of permission or someone or intermediary between them. So the next thing that I'm going to be talking about our peer-to-peer network is distributed ledger. So distributed ledger, okay, before I talk about distributed ledger, I'll talk about what ledger means. So ledger is like a list of transactions in like a normal traditional business where you have ledger where you store transactions, maybe Alice sends money to Bob, sends money to James. So those transactions are stored on a ledger. So distributed ledger is when a copy of that ledger is distributed to different computers. So all of them have a copy of that ledger. So any increment on one person's side of the computer happens to everyone in the system. So the next thing that I'm going to be talking about is cryptography. So cryptography is like a way that people can store secret information safely without anyone from the public having to have access to it. So they are stored in a way that it appears in code. So people can't actually get direct information to whatever you have stored in front end. So cryptography is actually a way that in blockchain we kind of encrypt transactions in a way that only the people that own accounts can actually see, oh, this is what I did and these are the other things. And so there are things like private keys and public keys that are personal to the owner of the accounts. So the public key, the public address is actually public for everyone to actually monitor my past transaction, but the private key is actually just for you to own. And the next thing is blocks. So just like I said, we are talking about blockchain. So block is actually blockchain itself is actually like a chain of blocks, and block is a record of transactions, like a list of transactions. And these blocks are arranged on the blockchain in a chronological order, which means that the previous block before the current one has a form of ID that is stored on the current one. So any form of invalidation on the previous block will affect every other block that comes after it. So if there's any hack or every other block that comes after it becomes invalid. So it's actually very hard for anyone to invalidate a system and everyone goes on with it. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is gas. So gas is like the fuel that we use in blockchain to perform transactions. So just like the way you put fuel in your car and you use your car to go to your destination, you want to perform a transaction, you need to actually pay for the transaction that you are making, depending on the complexity of that transaction or function that you are calling. So that amount of gas is being paid depending on how complex your function is being called on the EVM. So next thing I'm going to be talking about is mining. So there are people already in place in this network that help validate transactions, execute transactions, take care of the work in the background. So those people, after doing their work, they need to be compensated because they have actually taken their time and they've actually had the capacity to take care of transactions. So at the end of the day, they are incentivized by that same gas that you pay for the transaction that you've made. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is consensus mechanism. So remember I talked about peer-to-peer network where I said that all of them are communicating with each other. So a consensus mechanism is where everyone agrees on the current state of the network. So let's say someone has executed a transaction and is valid. It is gossiped around the whole network and everyone has to agree that, okay, this is a valid transaction. Let's all agree that, okay, this is the state that we want. If everyone does not agree, then it has to be invalid transaction and reverted or whatever it may be. But we have to make sure that any state that is being added into the blockchain is a valid one. So consensus mechanisms are put in place that invalid transactions can't go away, and any miner that is caught having to be in an invalid transaction will be defaulted, and there will be a penalty for that person. And the next thing I'm going to be talking about is smart contract. Smart contract is the most exciting thing that you hear about in the blockchain. So maybe most of you hear about cryptos and all, but smart contract actually deal with most of the interactions that you do on those applications. So those are like agreements between you and the application that, okay, after doing this, help me do this. So it's not easy like that, but it's kind of like an agreement between you and a group of people using an application where it's self-executing. So instead of needing lawyers or banks or intermediaries, you just do things based on what code or the agreements that you've had in the application. So I know I've said a lot of stories. I'm just going to briefly tell you about the applications of the blockchain, because most people just talk about crypto. So before we say crypto, I'm going to talk about DeFi. We've heard about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many other blockchains. So DeFi is more like, okay, so you have like money and you are saving money, or you actually want to use your money to purchase something, just like maybe in the traditional space. You maybe want to buy your friends gadgets, you use money to pay for it, and so on and so on. But in the decentralized finance, where I said DeFi, you actually don't need a bank or an intermediary to do those transactions. They're actually just done by those same smart contracts that I told you about, their agreements. So they go instantly, they are secured by the consensus mechanisms and the things that I've explained before. The next thing I'll talk about is NFTs, which fully means non-fungible tokens. And when I say something is non-fungible, it means that they cannot be replaced. They are unique, which means they can't have a copy of what I just created. So let's say you're a digital artist and you want to make money from your art and you don't want people to steal your work, you can place it on the blockchain, and anyone that wants your work has to come through you to get that unique work that you spent your time to do. And let's say certificates now, maybe a company that creates a certificate and you don't want people to impersonate that, oh, I went through your program, so I have a certificate for you. There's no way to validate that. I said you put it on the blockchain and you know that it's a unique certificate that only someone that went through this program can have. So the next application I'm going to tell you about is the DAO, which means decentralized autonomous organization. It's more like an investment fund, or like something where a group of people, where we all agree on how we are going to operate in this system. And how we operate in this system is very unique. So let's say we've agreed that we are going to be donating an amount of like $500 every month until we reach a certain target. And after we reach a certain target, we are going to purchase so and so, probably like a drone or something. So you know, in our normal traditional system where someone can just run away with the money that everyone has contributed for a long time, it can happen here where smart contract already agree that once we reach a certain target, we purchase this. So I've actually cut across some of the basics of the blockchain, and I know that I've said a lot, and it's not easy for you to just pick right now, but the more we go further, the more you get to understand and explain it better. Thank you very much. See you in my next episode. Bye bye.